Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us to join the Digital Jersey meeting here today. It's very interesting to hear the different speakers here, and I'm coming at it from a little bit different angle. And I would never start any presentation ever again without putting the Sustainable Development Goals up front first. And I said also, I always said this, that the smart city concept didn't have any meaning really before we got sustainability into the match, because it's really not just about technology, it's not just about digitalization, using this type of technology, it's to actually have a better living for people. It's about our future generation, it's how we work here and live here at this planet. So, as said, we are, in the context of this, also with the Sustainable Development Goals, it's not been mentioned here today, but I think also within this is the biggest potential. It's, of course, framing our challenges, but it's also the biggest potential for business within the SDGs. And I always said that to any business that I meet, think in the context of the SDGs, because this is not just going to be a little movement. It's going to be a big, I've said it's going to be a big movement, and it's going to be actually, I think it's going to be a new world language. Because wherever you go already now, and the SDGs has been around for 5 years, you meet people with a little pin. People are talking about SDGs if you are in Botswana or you are in South America. So this is just something that is coming to stay, and it's going to grow. So the sooner we get this into our thinking, how this can actually create value, how we can earn money on the SDGs, because it's allowed to earn money on sustainability. So what I'm representing here today, and I have just 10 minutes, I'm going to be brief. It's a program that we used 6 years to set up, so this is not happening yesterday. It's called United for Smart Sustainable Cities. It's not just about cities, it's also regions, it's about islands, it's about how we live together in an entity. And we started with one UN agency. We have now 16. One of our main agencies is the ITU, and of course very relevant to what we're talking about here today, but also in terms of setting standards for telecom, for digitalization, all of these type of areas, because that's also what our cities are facing and challenged with coming now. The ecosystems of the program is waste, and I think we've heard it also here today. It's the cross-sectorized, the integration, how we work and share knowledge, share data. That's what it's about. So the program is set up in quite a complex ecosystem. We have the UN agencies, the 16 UN agencies, with the main agency being the ITU for our program. UNEC and UN Habitat is the settlement organization of the UN. Then its governments clearly are members of the UN, but now we are putting it at a level also down to a local government, because we know we're never going to implement SDGs if we're not doing it at a local context. And then it's, of course, the private sector. SDGs will never be achieved without the private sector, and that we are really starting to work together, not just talking and being at the conference, and as you said, leaving, and then what's happening then, but that we're actually working in a partnership together. And then it's the finance sector, because that's also a big part of how we're going to achieve the smart, sustainable cities of the future, and working on business models is actually working. There is 5 main areas. I'm not going to take much time on this because it's limited, but the main thing is how we use city data, how we collect data or regional data to measure baseline. Because when we started this program, we had a test on 6 cities. And we went into the cities, and we saw they need basically everything. You know, there is a potential for development in almost everything in the city. So we need to find a base. We need to see where is the situation. I think we need to step one step back and get an overview of where do we stand, and why do we do what we do. Why do we need this technology? Is it going to enhance our lives? Yes. Is it going to something that's going to be building for the future? Then yes. But we need a baseline for that. So that's what we've been using, I think, almost 5 to 6 years now to develop this baseline that I'm also very happy we're going to do here in Jersey. And it's going to show how, of course, in terms of smart technology and digitalization, but it's also going to show how are you standing in terms of the SDGs, what is actually coming. Now all the countries have signed up the agreement. We're going to report on the SDGs. This is also going to help the countries to report on the status of the SDGs. Then it's about the technology and digitalization. How do we integrate this technology? It's not just about having the solutions, but you need a systematic approach to upscale this and scale this up. Not one city needs it. It's 10,000 cities that needs the same thing. Why are we not able to create a market, a global marketplace, where we can actually get this up in a much bigger scale? It's about innovative financing. How do we set up this in terms of finance these projects, because it's lacking. I'm coming down to mayors. They don't want to hear about the baseline. They're just asking, do you have the money to pay for this and that? So we need a totally different setup of how we're going to finance these things in the future. It's about citizen engagement. We need people involved in this. If we're going to manage to get to 2030 and get a good rate on the SDGs, we need people involved, because there will be a lot of unpopular decisions that needs to happen. I mean, the SDGs now is anyway contradictory. Consummation, the climate, all of these things. Yeah? And then, of course, we need the global hunt to learn from each other, because we are not doing it today. We say we are talking and learning from each other, but we're not putting it into a system where we're actually doing that. The Smart Sustainable City Baseline is actually the first tool that UN is doing on a local level for evaluating cities and regions in terms of the smartness and sustainability of the cities. It's just a little bit of methodology. We have everything online. I'm going to put everything up later. But it's exactly also how you connect the cities and communities together. This is what we used 3 years to get to. We started from 430 smart city indicators and drilled it down to 92, where we think we can get the data, because that's essential. And it's in 3 dimensions: economy, environment, society, and culture. All needs to be taken into consideration to have an integrated approach. It is cross-cutting in terms of, I said, the technology, the digitalization part. These are the cross-cutting issue here. At least 50% of the indicators is related to digitalization. So that's why it's quite a unique tool, also in a UN context, to have something like this. This is how you see, it's very easy, but this is how you see a rating. This is actually a Swiss city, and the mayor said to me, I said to the mayor, I think it will be very green, and he said, I hope it will be very red, because this will be my case to just ask for more money also into my city to help me to pay for these things. So this is green. What we've seen now, because we've done, I mean, this is, you see all the benchmarking here is also now depending on where we are a little bit in the regions. Every KPI is linked to an SDGs, so immediately you can do reporting on the SDGs, most of them related to smart cities and communities. We've done testing for more than 100 cities. We've done the Dubais, the Singapores, the Moscows, the Kairos, but we've also done a lot of small cities and communities. We're just doing a big program in Norway now, because we started in one city and it spread out, so we have more than 15 cities and small municipalities in Norway being evaluated now until end of January. Actually today, they're going to be finished. So we see that the method is very applicable wherever you go in the world, because it's connecting. We're creating a language now here to work together on smart cities and sustainability. I'm not going to mention much of this because Joel is coming, but when we found each other, we understood that to use the data and to simulate the future of cities, that's what's going to be missing. As we said here, we are not using more than 1% of the data. How are we going to get people to understand, and decision makers to understand how we can use this data differently? And for the cities, you can imagine, we're collecting data now. We need an understanding of why we need to integrate a lot of these technologies. We need to use the data differently. So he's going to take care of that one. Every KPI is really a business case. And that's what we are now, getting the private sector really on board on this project. Because you can immediately see, not just in one city, but in maybe 100 or 200 cities, they need exactly what I'm offering in terms of the businesses and technology. You don't need to develop something that people don't want or cities don't need. So in all of these different sectors here, we are working. Of course, it's issues that it's connecting cities all over the world. Waste management, recycling, technology for health. A lot of these things are really the same, and a lot of cities are looking for the same things. Someone told me, Kari, nobody is really investing in the glue. Someone who is bringing it together, because we are very investing in all kinds of different parts, but to bring it together in a systematic approach, that's really what we think is missing. So that's basically the concept of this program in very short 10 minutes, that you have a holistic approach of going about smart, sustainable cities. You start with evidence-based data, and from that on, you build on the different, which technologies, what is fitted here. You bring it together with the financing, also building it through the different pilot projects. And I think that's why also in terms of here, as was mentioned many times, it's easier to show in small ecosystems that this really works. And we've seen now, because we're also going to launch the UN Index for Smart Sustainable Cities and Communities later this year. And I've seen some of those hundreds that we've done already, some of the small communities are actually on top of the list, of course, because it's easier here to develop these things together. And I think with Jersey, we have a unique opportunity as an ecosystem to show not just that we get the whole thing green in terms of being smart and sustainable, but can be an example for cities and communities all around the world. And we are happy to work with you on this and see how we can promote and lift what's happening here through Digital Jersey and all the other good projects that's going on in Jersey through this program. Because what we see now is that it really turns out to be a fantastic also promotional platform, because it's global and it's reaching out in language that now everybody is sharing. So that was what I wanted to say. I see 000. Thank you very much.